Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's June the 16th, 2022. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us here today. After our interim break, as Mr. Black was attempting to run it up in the land of tapas, wine, and hopefully for them, less inflation. Over there in Spain for 10 days. It was quite a trip. I'm sure we get to hear a little bit about it here momentarily. But if this is your first time here, thank you for joining us. Technical Alpha here, we're talking about video games, movies, TV, and everything else that we decide to talk about. Because damn it, it's our show! We're going to talk about whatever we feel like talking about. Even if we do slot ourselves on iTunes into the video game section. They need at this point, maybe we should just be entertainment. I don't know. They tell you to be as specific as possible, but there is no specificity for this podcast. But we're glad that you could join us here today. Thank you very much for spending some time with us. And before we get started, most important question of each and every week, Mr. Black, how was your week? On the end of that.
It was good. It was fun. I was in Barcelona for 10 days. First time there. Definitely will go back. It's absolutely breathtaking. Didn't get to venture into the city too much, although where I was staying was like in a really nice area on the beach. So, I got some of the culture and ate a bunch of the food, and my stomach held out there, which was great. Didn't
Marvelous.
have the Hershey squirts once, which was like I was expecting the worst, but that was great. Obviously went there for poker, went there with party, had a crazy awesome run in the main event, came in 25th place, which doesn't seem spectacular, I guess, but
That's pretty good.
it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good in a field of absolute crushers, some of the best players in the world. I think there was like close to 400 or so, maybe 425 that played. Managed to cash for about 12,000 Canadian, which was great. So that was a success. Obviously, I was a bit disappointed because I was pretty card dead on the second day. And then got it in with Ace King and ran into Queens, and I didn't get there. I lost the flip.
The nine.
I know, the nine.
The nine.
Bro.
Hey, you know what? If you lost, like, let's say you lost to Kings or some shit, like, and you're like, oh, okay, and it's on the river. That's bad enough.
Yeah.
But it's when you got the 9 on the fucking, what is that, the turn or whatever.
Yeah.
That shit.
I knew. When I saw the 9, I was like, man, here we go. And then boom, there it was, the king on the river, and it just got counterfeited.
That's so bad.
He already had the straight. Yeah. But it is what it is. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people. Had a good time. Little jet lagged. Actually feeling a little sick, to be honest. Yeah. Not like I think a lot of it is just time change and being run down.
Yeah, of course.
Don't have a runny nose or a cough or anything like that. Just a bit of a headache and just feeling burnt, like just run down.
Burnt out, yeah.
So I just took today off just because I just was not feeling so hot.
Nice day to take off.
Yeah, just been chilling, relaxing. And that was pretty much my week there. I'm not sure what else went down. I mean, it was just a solid trip. Bumped into Jason Momoa. That's right. In the
true.
chat. So funny story. I was arriving at the hotel, and I was staying at the Ritz. So like you're gonna run into some
people,
some people, right?
Yeah.
So we pull up. The cab pulls up, and I pay the cab driver. I get out, and as I'm walking into the hotel, I'm like looking down at my luggage, kind of pulling it in towards, and I hear a familiar voice. And I was like, what the fuck? And it didn't even click, but I just heard a voice that like I knew.
Sounded familiar,
I looked up, and there's Jason Momoa. right? And I'm like, holy shit. I literally said, holy shit, Jason Momoa. And he's there, and he's like kind of rushing out because like I think people are starting to realize
he's there.
It's Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, where's my phone? So I went to go grab my phone because I was gonna say like, hey, yo, Jason, like, let's get a photo or something, right?
You were the one. And you were the person he was trying to get the fuck out there to get away from.
Yeah. No, for sure. But like, it was just like a gut reaction. Like I don't know. It was just like I just immediately went for my phone. But that was when I realized I left my phone in the cab.
Oh shit.
So the cab is already driving on the other side of the hotel, and the busboy or whatever, the doorman, I was like, dude, my phone, it's in the cab. So he runs out and he whistles to the other end of the hotel where there's another doorman and tells him to wave down the taxi. And as
these guys got a system.
They got a system, right? So that the other door guy waves the taxi down, the taxi stops, and he looks in the back seat, and there's my phone. By the time I grab my phone, Jason's already gone. And as he's coming out, he's like, get me in the SUV. He's like, get me in the SUV. He's like rushing out, right? And they put him in this blacked out SUV, and he fucks off. But yeah, Jason Momoa saved my phone because like if I didn't run into him, I would have noticed pretty quickly. Like when I got up to the lobby, I would have noticed. But like that taxi would have been gone, right? So so yeah, shout outs to Jason Momoa for
Jason
for saving
Momoa.
My phone. I hadn't seen him since, and I was there for 10 days, so he might have only been there for a night or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
incredible.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Amazing.
Mr. Miyagi came down. We hung out.
Yes, Miyagi showed up for a couple days.
Yeah, he was there, I think, for 4 or 5 days. So yeah, that was a good time. And weather was beautiful. Everybody there is gorgeous, man. The dudes are handsome. The girls are beautiful. I mean, there's like nobody that's overweight. The ones that are overweight are tourists.
Imagine
it's like,
that.
Dude, it was actually kind of bizarre.
Imagine what food culture does to people.
It was actually nuts. I was like, what the fuck? Like everybody here is in shape. Like, you know, obviously there are some people that, you know, don't fit the the mold. But I mean, I'm talking the vast majority of people, like handsome, gorgeous, just studs and studettes everywhere. Like just the skin complexion is like got that nice tan. Everybody's just like we're on a nude beach, so like there's just people just fucking just don't give a fuck, just doing their own thing. And it was just like, man, it was just a different way of life. Yeah, it was cool. The culture there is like the night starts at like 2 a.m. So like it's hard to find breakfast. Like I found one breakfast place close by, but like most of the time restaurants and stuff don't even open till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can find the odd spot, but then at night it's like the clubs, all the restaurants and stuff, they just turn into clubs, and then it starts like 2 a.m. and then people go till 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's wild. There's more people out at 5 a.m. than there is at 4 p.m. It's
people getting turned up fucking 4 o'clock in the morning.
Bro, I'm telling you. It was different.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds like a good time.
It was a good time.
Sounds like a good time. Well, I wasn't in Spain. I was just in my house, painting, and doing more stuff there. So yeah, we're just trying to get the house done, Jeff. At this point, I feel like I don't know. We're just, the dad's over there busting his ass every single day. Bro, everything is trying to come together.
I would have just hired somebody and would have been. I don't know.
Bro, there is literally no money to be hiring people to do this shit. That money doesn't exist. The money doesn't exist for like the renovations we've pretty much already done to this point, doing the labor ourselves. Let alone hiring somebody to come in and giving them $1,200 to paint 800 square feet of fucking room. It just that money doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And even worse now, because when we signed this lease when we signed this mortgage originally, all of my decision making on whether or not we went variable or fixed was based on coming out of the pandemic. And all of the inflationary markers that come with coming out of the pandemic, there were no inflationary markers coming out of the pandemic because we were coming out of a pandemic. So, I mean, we went from 1.75 down to 0.25 very quickly in 2020 to make up for the fact that nobody was spending any money. And we were just coming out now. Like, it was only just starting to happen now. There's no inflationary markers in the standard sense. So I knew when we signed, in my head, I went, all right, we've got like a year, maybe 18 months before the banks actually before the Bank of Canada decides to start actually increasing the overnight rate. Easy. So like, all right, we'll do it for a year, and then we'll lock the remainder of the term up so that we can put more money down now and knock the interest out up front on the loan. Great. Amazing. Nope. Chuck Testa, because Mr. Vladimir fucking Putin decided right at the tail end, literally like 2 weeks after we signed that fucking stupid lease, to invade Ukraine and fuck the entire population of the world's oil supply and wheat supply. And so now there's only like 4 fucking things that are inflationary markers. Unfortunately, those 4 things are what everyone's freaking out about. And so it's forcing like a semi-false fucking recessionary period that now all of the major banks are trying to adjust for. And how are they doing it? By turning the knob faster than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. We're not talking 0.25 once a quarter. We're not talking 0.5. The Americans just went for a 0.75 yesterday with another 0.75 in like the next 3 to 4 weeks. Shit's going fucking bonkers.
Yep.
And so now... I have to. I'm looking at this going.
That monthly payment going. Whoa.
Well, honestly, no, it's not bad because like for right now on our variable, like yes, it's gone up, but we were so low when we signed that like we've got prime minus 1.3. So like right now we're at 2.4. It's still
that's not
historically fucking.
Next year though, when you go to.
So here's the gamble: does the Bank of Canada go north of 3% overnight rate in the next calendar year or 2? That's the gamble, because that's the threshold where our current variable rate or our current locked-in fixed, if we do it today, equals our variable rate in the future. And so that's the gamble. And so you do as much reading as you can. Here's the problem. When you got a pandemic that's unprecedented and a fucking egotistical maniac invading Ukraine, you have no clue what the shit the next calendar year is going to look like. If this was a normal inflationary period and normal recessionary period, you can more or less, within a reasonable amount, if you look historically at charts, see what you're looking at getting. You know, does the bank rate, not the overnight rate, but the bank rate hit 6%, 7%, maybe for a year, and then it eventually claws its way back. But now, fuck me, dude. I could spend the next week or two crunching every number I know I'm personally capable of and looking at every piece of news to try and project what the fuck is going to happen. And none of that could actually happen, much like when we signed this in the first place and then Putin invaded a fucking country. So now I can't fucking tell. We either sign now and we go from 2.4 to 479, which is a $600 a month change in our payment. Just flat out. $600 right off the rip. Which, if you do some quick dirty maths over the 5-year period, is roughly $32,000 to $35,000 change, and most of that is just straight interest. None of that's principal.
Get absolutely bent over, bite the pillow.
0% of that
and just ease your way
is
in.
interest. So I have to now decide: do we stay variable and do we pretend that we're in fixed and pay the same amount of money as we would be to beat the interest down, to then get to the point where the variable does go up and now we're paying more interest than we were, but the offset is in that calendar year, we have set in the 15 to 20 year period more interest off than if we had gone fixed today and done 5 years? Or are we looking at a 1980s situation where the world literally fucking collapses in on itself and the Bank of Canada and the National Bank in the US say, hey, we have to force a recession to stop inflation. How do we do that? Oh, well, Fuck me.
10% interest rates. Get fucked.
20% interest rates for like 2 years. Get fucked. And so they fucking insane gamble. So you're either 35 grand, get fucked, or you pretend it's all the same. You offset the same 35 grand with the chance of like a year from now, the interest is worth less on our loan than it would be now, and figure that out. I don't know. But all I do know is fuck Vladimir Putin. He can suck my average white penis twice daily for fucking this all up. And this is the most first world problem shit, because I'm not the one in the Ukraine, so fuck him for that first and foremost. But holy fucking hell, dude. What are the odds? For God's sake, why did he have to choose literally 2-3 weeks after I signed this thing to fuck the entire chain up for the entire known world? Is fucking crazy. But you know who else is at fault for this, honestly? There's like 3 different groups of people involved that are at fault for this. The first group are the national banks for being fucking stupid enough to leave that at 0.25 for as long as they did before they started raising it to 1.75 in the mid 2010s. We had like rock bottom fucking interest for way too long.
We had free money.
Way too long.
It was free.
Way too long. Free money. And then it went to 1.75, which is still free money. And then the pandemic hit and they went, oh shit, we need more free money. And so they tanked it to 2.5 again. Even when there wasn't that much of an issue to begin with. Like, it wasn't enormous. I think you'll remember that even with the pandemic, everyone was posting record profits. Like, the S&P 500 was like, oh no, everything's dying. And then you looked at the chart and you went, wait, guys, the chart's still going up. What are you talking about? Everything's dying. So they didn't really need that to happen. But you know what they did? They took advantage of it to make even more fucking money. And so we've got a problem with that. Then, when it's rock bottom like that, if you look at the percentage in North America of houses being purchased by actual people versus houses being purchased by conglomerate corporations for investment purposes, it's a hideous percentage swing. It's like 40+%. It's fucking off the rails. So you had an enormous transfer of wealth of people who are already wealthy buying up, and I'm not talking individuals, but corporations. There's a company in the States I can't remember the name of off the top of my head that was particularly bad about this, but they bought everything, and it ran everything through the roof before we even had inflation. Now we get inflation plus insane fucking housing prices that everyone is trying to get in because everyone's looking at it going, if we don't get in now, we're super fucked. And then this happens on top of it. So we get this insane domino effect where there was an enormous transfer of wealth that didn't need to happen anyway, and now anyone that was already barely getting in is power fucked. There is a really good shot that we're about to experience 2008 all over again, and for not the same reason. 2008 was like a legitimate inflationary fuck up with the housing market getting propped up by terrible loans. This time, how are you supposed to complain about people taking shit out for loans when the percentage was as low as it was for as long as it was? That's just people getting into the market. That's not people taking advantage. And when it's like 7 years of low interest, of course you're going to have the everyday person getting a loan at 0.25% on the overnight rate. It's just naturally going to fucking happen. And now they're getting fucked. But we haven't, dude, this is history repeating itself in barely 10 years after it happened. This isn't like some World War II and, we're 2 or 3 generations apart and we forgot what war is like and now we're going to repeat, history all over again. This shit happened last Tuesday. And, and they're fucking us again.
The pandemic just threw everything into a fucking shitstorm. And the government just printed money like it was fucking...
But they were already printing money.
Yeah, but they printed it on a whole nother level, man. When you're giving out checks to every fucking citizen there is, and those people are just buying up fucking shit they don't need, man, it's a perfect storm.
Just insane.
Yeah, I know my stock portfolio right now is screaming. It's going.
So Em and I are trying to figure out how we're going to navigate this situation right now. I'm still crunching fucking numbers. I've got 5 days because I've got my paperwork to sign to switch, and it's good for 5 days. I mean, to put it in perspective, yesterday, if I was smart yesterday, I would have had this thought, but I didn't think they'd change in the exact fucking day that I messaged them in the first place. Yesterday, I sent in and I said, we're considering it. What is the lowest rate that we can get? 449. This morning, fixed. Last night, it went up to 479 in 16 hours.
Oh my
So what is the average person supposed to do? The bank rate in Canada didn't even change. But TD,
man.
everyone changed. Every one of the banks,
Dude.
because they all move together. They never move independently of one another. They all move together.
Of course,
so
they have to.
Well, they don't actually have to, but like
well,
they do.
They pretty much have to, because if not, then the other, it's kind of like if one is, and depending, and you can get a little bit cheaper if you've got
mine's
a relationship.
cheaper than TD, for example.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like mine is cheaper. But it's
it depends on your credit score, your
0.1, 0.2% on if is what you can expect. But in general, they all move at the same time.
Yeah, I saw this coming, and that's why I refinanced one of my triplexes there a couple months ago, and I just locked in a rate, and they can hold that rate for a period of time. So I got everything done early, and so I ended up getting at like 2.49% fixed for 5 years. I just, I was like, man, this shit's going to go up. I didn't think it was going to go up this fast.
Well, that was my thought. On my bingo card of things that could happen in the calendar year or even in 6 months, Putin invading Ukraine, fucking the entire world economy up as it has, and forcing false, because this is not, again, it's not traditional inflationary markers. There's like two of them. It's gas and food, and the food is going up because the gas has gone up, and everything in this country and in the US is pretty much shipped exclusively by truck because we were stupid and moved away from stuff like trains. And so now every time gas goes up, and there's no government plan, for example, to ease tax on gas for trucks that deliver goods to places, everything else goes up. And then everyone sees, they think, oh, it's a recession, even though technically speaking, it's not. But it forces, like it's like a false flag
we're about to be in a
that goes up.
We're literally about to be in a recession now.
But now it's going to happen because they have to, because everyone has forced. Anyway, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit. So I don't know.
That's a tough spot. That's a tough spot to be in.
It's fucking bonkers.
Yeah, personally, I think rates are going to continue to go up.
Oh, they're going to go a lot, not a little bit.
Yeah. I think we're probably going to see 6%, 6.5% in the next 18 months.
It won't be 18 months. I'm telling you right now, fixed mortgages in Canada will be at 6% before the end of the year.
Oof.
100%. Dude, we're going up 0.5% overnight rate in July. They moved it up without any overnight rate last night, just on the back of what they saw out of the US.
The prices now, holy fuck.
Dude, it's going to get really, really, really bad. Really bad. Like when I say we're looking at 2008 all over again, I'm not fucking joking. We're going from 0.25% people having locked in, the lowest rate in history, for an extended period of time, where an enormous amount of people got in on it because, again, it happened over such a long period of time. This isn't like a 1 year period where a bunch of people took advantage of it. It's going for so long that people are just going to naturally be up in the system because it's been 0.25 for so long. And now, in a 1 year period, we're going to 10x.
This is what I've been.
12x.
This is what I was saying. I made a video like last year, and I was talking about. I know this is supposed to be a gaming podcast, but whatever.
Like I said at the beginning, Martin, it's
really
our show.
I find this far more interesting anyway. Yeah, I was pretty much saying, like, the housing market's going crazy because money is so cheap, and the ones that are going to suffer are the ones that are buying a house for, say, $500,000. And normally they could afford a house that is $300K. But because the interest rates are so low, their buying power goes up significantly. Now, that's great and all. You can get into a house and you're going to make that spread because the housing market is going up. But the problem is when that term is over, if you can't support an extra $300 to $500, $600 a month in a mortgage payment, you're in trouble. You're in fucking trouble. Yes, you're in trouble. Fortunately, the banks, towards like the last 6 months, maybe even closer to a year, more so 6 months, they knew these rates were coming. Like, it was inevitable. And so they were approving people on those loans, but they were stress testing them for a higher percentage, stress testing them for 4.5%, 5%.
Which is something we did back because of 2008. They started doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've got I'm looking to buy a multi-unit now, and I'm just gonna wait it out because I think there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that's gonna come out on the market for sale. Because of interest rates alone, people are just gonna be like, I got to get rid of this. I overextended.
Dude, by the end of this year, I'm comfortable in saying that close to 30% of the homes in Canada are going to foreclose.
Jeez, that's I don't know about that much.
No, I'm telling you, I'm dead. Dude, look at the chart of how long we had interest sub 2% overnight rate. It's over a decade.
Well, the thing is the reason why I don't think that'll happen is because the value of the homes have gone up so much. So what a lot of those people will do is they'll refinance their house and they'll pull a bunch of equity out. So that way they can afford to create those payments, and then they'll have a buffer. So, if they bought a house 5-10 years ago, they've doubled. 10 years ago, their house has doubled in value, just straight up twice as much. So what they'll likely do is they'll likely refinance the house. They'll probably pull out $50K, $100K, or whatever if they didn't want to sell. Also now you're seeing a lot more houses go up for sale because they're realizing the market has topped, right?
Yeah.
If they would have sold last year, they were maximum profit. Now they're still getting profit. It's not like the price of houses here are tanking. It's not tanking, but it's taking longer to sell. And the reason why it's taking longer to sell is because people aren't qualifying for those mortgage rates like they were 6 months or a year or 2 years ago. Because the difference between 2.5% and fucking 5% is massive
and for people that were buying, like, for example, in this area, the majority of purchases were investment properties. There were I know of one that sold around me that was a family. Everyone else was an investment property. So, and the investment properties, as you would know, work when you can get, everyone wants a great spread. And when you're getting basically free money and the rentals that you're getting out of it are covering like mortgage plus and not even just like whatever, it's everyone wants it. So everyone's buying fucking everything up in cash as fast as humanly possible. And that's not happening anymore. So you've got houses that have already gone down, I think some 12-14% here in the not that long last couple months, and that's going to continue to go down for sure. And houses are sitting around now for longer. They're not just sold in 72 hours. And so but just in my head, the number of people that in the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years that have any kind of equity, they can refinance, and I'm sure many of them will. I'm pretty certain that 20, close to 30% are going to be pretty much forced out of the market by the end of the year, if not early next year, because I actually think that there's a good shot that because again, if this was normal inflationary shit, then the moves that the government, the bank, I should say, is making, the National Bank is making right now, would curtail that inflation in a 6 to 12 month period, doing what they're doing right now, aggressively moving the overnight rate. And when I say aggressively, in our lifetime, it's never been moved this aggressively, this quickly. This is easily
it's been like
the fastest.
20 years. Yeah, it's been like
easily
20
the
years,
fastest. So the only thing now is, can that outpace what's happened because of what's happening between the Russia and Ukraine on top of the pandemic? Because this is majority of this is actually just the Russia-Ukraine thing, and not so much the market being super red hot. Housing is super red hot, but in general, people haven't been able to go out and spend a shitload of money because there's just not a shitload of money floating around. For the average person, there's a shitload of money if you can afford to leverage yourself on the low interest rates, but that's not been the case, because in a pandemic, the average person isn't swimming in money during the pandemic. They're not over.
Well, yes and no. I mean, people had a lot of money during the pandemic. Like, there's a lot of money being thrown around. A lot of checks being thrown around. A lot of people getting a lot of money that they normally didn't have. I mean, there's tons of people that just don't even want to go back to work because they're making so much more money not working than what they were. I think and people were spending. That's why the stock market was going fucking fire hot red, is because the GDP was just like, people were just buying shit. And now that the government is cut off for the most part, there's no more funneling money out to people, and jobs are coming back, and reality's starting to sink in, and the dollar's gone to shit, and fucking so much shit has been printed. And then of course you've got a war, the housing market has gone nuts, and now the interest rates are going crazy over the people. Reality sinking in. I mean, there's going to come a time where it was like, dude, this all of this, like, there was a lot of bad happening, but there was like kind of a lot of good happening as well. And now it's just like all bad all the time. And now people are like, dude, how do I put food in the fridge? How do I fill my gas tank? How do I do all these things? And it's going to be a rocky next 2 years. It's going to be rocky.
Oh, it's going to be longer than 2 years. I'm very comfortable. The people are fucked. Fucked.
I'm not as doom and gloom as you are, but
people are fucked. Like I'm basing that, and maybe I'll end up being wrong. I'm basing that on my own personal position. So if the income that Em and I combined are moving, and on the house that we've got, and the fact that we can rent out a half of the home in order to aid in that, and with the fact that we don't really spend money for shits and giggles outside of that, we're not frivolous spenders. We're not traveling. We're not doing any. We don't go to the theater. We don't go out to like eat at restaurants. We don't do like almost anything whatsoever. In our position, and to absorb that change, and then look at the certainly the median income and the median debt load that's floating around right now, and then to take that interest rate with anything, whether it's rolling over or people getting caught on on variable, which I think was about 20% of the market is on variable right now, is all points to me this look an awful lot like 2008, because I'd have to go back and look at the chart again, but I was interested in what the overnight rate and bank rates look like, during the bull run of the market up to late 2007 until everything hit the fan, and then they were trying to compensate for that and beat inflation down. The move was nowhere near as big as what we're experiencing right now, and so I have to assume, based on that history alone, that there's a real good shot that when you take the overnight rate and multiply it by 15 or 16 times in a 12 to 16 month window, that's probably going to fuck a lot of like 12 to 16 times. We're not talking like 5x, which would suck balls. We're talking literally 12 to 15 times in a year to a year and change is just bonkers, and not very many people can absorb that. When you look at which is this has been a problem for many years, wages over time and inflation over time. And now we've got inflation on top of wages that we're barely keeping track or actually losing money in many industries. And now we're getting 8% inflation right now, and if they can't get it curtailed by the end of the year, everyone's money that's sitting around not attempting to do something to combat that is going to lose 10% on top of that. So their take-home pay plus whatever's sitting around, plus they're getting fucked by 16 times more fucking interest. Plus, like, dude, I think it's a real good shot that a good chunk of the market in the next 6 to 9 months are up shit's creek without a paddle. And it will look a lot like 2008. I think you're going to have a very comfortable recession-proof job for two people at the same time in a home to make all of that work and pan out. And that's assuming you only got one fucking car that's real good gas mileage. Because otherwise your ass is walking to and from your job. Yeah. Because I'm not
as doom and gloom as you are. I don't think the housing market's going to crash. I think it's just going to be tougher to get in.
Well, it won't crash. It won't crash in the same mechanism as 2008.
No,
but I do think that it's going to be.
It's going to slow down. It's going to slow down. It's going to slow down for sure.
It's going to be real fucking nasty. Video game news, Mr. Black. Some of it happened while you were gone. It wasn't so laden with stuff at the time that it was worth me doing a recap like I did in years past with E3 news, because there wasn't that many events going on or that many announcements. So I saved or wrote down most of the highlight stuff for us to just recap here, and then that's it. Because yeah, it just wasn't the same load. And again, we're coming out of the pandemic, so the video game market in terms of development is still recovering from that. So you're not going to get all the crazy, endless news that you might have gotten in a normal year. Yeah, we will single out Stormgate specifically for us to talk about as a separate thing for sure. Don't worry, we're gonna get to that. Even though we didn't see much of it, we will talk a little bit about that. So Summer Game Fest kicked off with its own thing on that first day. Well, it was a Thursday. And if I had to give it a theme, Mr. Black, it was space horror, because like 1/3 of that entire presentation was what flavor of space horror game would you like to play coming up in the next 12 months or so. Some of the highlighted games from that category were Callisto Protocol, which is like the totally not Dead Space game made by ex-Dead Space devs. So that was one. Aliens Dark Descent, and then Routine, which is the one that I thought looked the most interesting. They did a really interesting take on, the I won't say played out, but definitely tropey artificial intelligence or something like that, getting a little too intelligent kind of a deal. Very, very cool aesthetic, looked really neat, and looked the most interesting to me out of all of them, because the rest of them just looked like the same shit that we've seen half a dozen times already. Of course, we saw more Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Big shock on that one. Guess what it looks like, Mr. Black?
More COD.
Hey! You're good. Some might say a savant. But yes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 looked like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It looked shinier, for sure. Looked prettier. All of the old, fan favorite characters that had been in previous Modern Warfare titles before, they've all like stitched them together. The Mount Rushmore, Soap and fucking Ghost or whatever his name is, and the whole crew are back and better than ever.
Ooh.
Many of them who were already dead before, but now they're back. For this has got to be, what is this, the third Modern Warfare 2? Because we had the original, then we had the remaster, then we had like Modern Warfare 2019, and now we got Modern Warfare 2. But I don't know if this is the one with the number 2 or the Roman numerals 2, how they're discerning the difference between these. But again, like I said on a tweet, it doesn't matter. They're all the same fucking game anyway.
More Call of Duty, guys.
It's more Call of Duty. So you got some more of that. A surprise that has already gotten lots of great reviews since it was shown off, because it came out, I think, like yesterday or just a couple days ago, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which looks really good, actually, and includes the ability to do 6-player mode, locally and online. I don't know how you get 6 motherfuckers playing that game locally, but that sounds dope. And 6 online, and you can also unlock and play as Casey Jones, if you remember Casey Jones from the movies. It looks really good. It sounds really good. It's probably the game that everyone hoped the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game was going to end up being. That's what all the reviews seem to be saying thus far, that they have successfully made it happen. Some people even getting crazy, Jeff, saying Game of the Year nom. Getting wild. To Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles side score beat 'em up. Game of the Year. There you go. You can play that. You can play that whenever you so wish. The fighting game community also seems thrilled with how a Street Fighter 6 is shaping up. That was given its own kind of block. Not just in this, but also I think Capcom's own show, which we'll talk about here in a bit. And to me, I'm not a fighting game guy. To me, it looks basically identical to the last 2 Street Fighter games, like 4, 5, and 6. If you just showed me a montage of like gameplay from 4, 5, and 6, I would not be able to tell you which one was 4, which one was 5, and which one is 6. But they're excited, so I'm happy for them. And the dev team apparently is feeling really good about it as well. And yes, Cammy, they gave Cammy pants. And so the neckbeards of the world got very upset about the fact that you couldn't see her labia anymore, even though I believe that old school outfit is also still available. It's just that the one that they showed her off in originally. She had pants, Jeff.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the big finish for the first day of the showcase was spoiled by Sony themselves, nonetheless. It was on one of their storefronts, accidentally put out before the show that there is a Last of Us Part 1 remake. Oops, that was supposed to be the show closer. And they, of course, went ahead with it anyway, because what are you going to do? It's a live show. And showed that off. And, of course, Mr. Keighley was thrilled with the fact that the thunder of the end of the show was completely fucking stolen by Sony themselves, accidentally posting that on the store too early. It looks good. Some people are debating whether they like the new look or not. It's obviously far more realistic, like the Part 2 that was released more recently. They completely reworked the entire game from top to bottom. So it probably plays better than the original did, and it certainly looks better from a technical perspective. Some people like the original look a bit more because the new look, it's like the new look just reached that point where it looks too real and it's too bland. Whereas the old one still had a bit of style to it, character-wise. But all the same, doesn't matter. Whether you play the old one or the new one, they both look good, they both play well. If you like it, great, guess what? You can pay $70 more in tax for another crack at The Last of Us Part 1. And I can't remember if they gave a time frame for that, but either way, you'll know. If you actually give a shit about this, you probably already know, because The Last of Us fans are rabid as shit. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Black, The Rock showed up at one point. To awkwardly ramble. I mean, and it was awkward. I don't know if he actually, I don't know if, I couldn't tell if it was pre-recorded or if he was literally just in the middle of a workout in his gym and just like, FaceTimed or whatever with the production team so that they could pipe his video and audio into the stream. But it was the most awkward ramble I've seen The Rock do in a hot minute, and I still don't really know what he was there for. It wasn't attached to any game. He loosely pitched Black Adam for a moment, and then of course held his fucking Zoa energy drink can in just the appropriate way and shouted out his energy drink, and then told like everyone, enjoy your gaming or some shit, and then signed off. It was fucking weird. It didn't fit in anywhere. I'm not sure why he was there. I don't know why they would have paid him to show up to do that. Literally did not cover anything game related whatsoever. But yeah, it was bad. At this point, The Rock is quite literally just a walking advertisement. Every time I see him, I just automatically assume he's going to pitch me his fucking godforsaken energy drink, and I already tune out. As soon as his bald ass head shows up, I'm like, nope. Here comes the Zoa, and without fail, there's the Zoa. Then, a couple days later on Sunday, we got Microsoft and Bethesda's show, which took a different approach this year, showing off essentially nothing but gameplay. Because last year, they got roasted for showing nothing but CGI. And so this year, they said, all right, fuck you then. Here's all gameplay. So they showed pretty much exclusively gameplay for the 30-plus games that they included in the show. They also focused solely on games that are coming out in the next 12 months, so there's no, JPEGs of Elder Scrolls 6. Just games coming out in the next calendar year. One of the biggest announcements was Riot Games partnering with Game Pass to bring their PC and mobile games with all champions and all agents unlocked, and some more. That includes League of Legends, Valorant, Wild Rift, Teamfight Tactics, and Runeterra. So if you're on that Game Pass hype, that's pretty substantial. Just having access to all of the League of Legends champions right off the rip, all of the operators in Valorant, or agents in Valorant, is huge. And that was a pretty big thing that people were talking about for a while, because if you already have it and you're already somebody that plays that stuff on the side as well as like one of your main games, that's huge. Because now you can just buy your skins, not have to buy the champions. Or if you're somebody that doesn't give a fuck about skins and just likes playing champions and whatnot, great news. You get them all. It's the closest thing to Dota, because Dota, I think everyone's just available right off the rip in Dota, if I'm not mistaken, where you don't have to pay for any of them in that game. But in League, you do, because Riot likes their money. But if you have Game Pass, congratulations. Forza Motorsport is also looking particularly incredible. This is the new mainline Forza game, not Forza Horizon. They showed off some of that. They've got real-time ray tracing on the track now, and not just in like Forza Vista mode. Real-time weather affecting track conditions and more. It's finally looking like a proper mainline title, barring some sort of shitty microtransactions like they did in the last one or two. And that's coming in spring of 2023. But yeah, it looked really, really, really fucking good. It looked terrible on the stream. So you had to go and watch the 4K one and look at screenshots later because the stream, of course, looked like doo-doo. But yes, it does look very, very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more of that in the not-too-distant future. Another fun thing that we saw at this one was that Halo's Pelican was added as free DLC. I think it's available today, or it was already available a couple days ago. They added the Pelican to Microsoft Flight Simulator, so people that have always wanted to fly a fucking Pelican, great news. You can do it. You can either, and it looked like, I don't know for sure, but it looked like you can even do like some just outside or like low Earth orbit flying and shit. It looked pretty fucking dope. Pentiment, a particularly unique medieval narrative game by Obsidian. Obsidian is the one that did Knights of the Old Republic 2 back in the day. They're also the one that did Fallout New Vegas. Looks like it could be a sleeper hit. Very unique game. A lot of people were talking about how unique and interesting it looked. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be one of those sleeper things that, you know, it doesn't sell 30 million copies, but for like the critics, it will be one of those, like, if you were to call it, it's an Oscar bait kind of a situation, I think. And then within the block of the show dedicated to the Xbox trying to work into the Asian market, Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal are all coming to Game Pass. Persona 5 Royal is first out later this year, with the others to be determined from what I can see. That's actually pretty big news because Atlas hates money, Jeff. I don't know if you know this, but Atlas, the developer, hates money. They actively avoid it, which means right now, during this crazy inflationary period, they're loving the fact that they're burning money because that's how much they fucking hate money. These motherfuckers didn't even put this shit on the Switch yet. For reasons I will never be... Literally the easiest money you could print is putting Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden on the Switch. You instantly make tens of millions of dollars. Easiest play in gaming history. And you know where it's going to go first? The fucking Xbox. Why? I don't know. It's not like there's enough Xboxes in Japan to sell more than 3 copies of this shit, but they're doing it anyway because they hate money. They're fucking weird. They're just fucking weird. They are also coming to Steam and PlayStation 5, I believe, as well at some point. But again, the Switch. No. Why? 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 Tell me why, Atlas. You don't make any fucking sense. Hideo Kojima also showed up in that block to say, hey, I'm making a cloud-based thing for Xbox. That was pretty much it. It was like 30 seconds of him on camera, just sitting there, being Hideo Kojima. Said, hey, string games. I'm making one for the cloud with Microsoft. And then we got Starfield, Mr. Black. Big old block for Starfield. That's the big dick item. That's, you know, that's the thing that when Microsoft bought out ZeniMax and Bethesda, that was one of those games where they're like, man, this is a big one for us, right? If you looked up mid in Urban Dictionary, there is a picture of Starfield right now on Urban Dictionary. And if there's not, somebody do it immediately. That shit looked middling as fuck. It looked... First of all, it's a good idea that they delayed this game because it is not finished. Not even a little bit. That bitch ran at 15 frames per second, maybe 20. In their own trailer. This is them showing off the best the game has to offer, and it ran at like 20 FPS on a good note. Lower in some cases. And it didn't even look that impressive. Like some interiors looked pretty good. The lighting model looked good interior. You go outside, is aight, I guess. But rest assured, you know how I knew we were in trouble though, Mr. Black? I got a great chuckle out of it.
How did you know?
Thank you for asking. I know you're interested in how I knew, so thank you for asking. He was wearing the fucking bomber jacket.
There you go, man.
He brought it back out. Fallout 76's announcement bomber jacket was back on Todd's body, and he was pitching hard on that marketing shit, which told me immediately this game is probably gonna fucking bomb when it fucking comes out. And if it doesn't bomb, it will be because Microsoft forced them to put this shit back in the oven for another 6 to 7 months. Because, oh my God. So he's out here saying, oh, you know, he didn't come out and say 16 times the detail and all this other bullshit that he did last time. But you know what he did say? 1,000 planets.
Yeah, but there's only like 4 cities in it, right?
There's 4 main cities and 1,000 planets. Why? Not even, dude, people complained about Mass Effect back in the day, which had like, you know, hundreds or whatever, where you could just scan the fucking planet because there was nothing to do there, right? Why do you think, from a narrative perspective, the odds of Bethesda going toe-to-toe with Mass Effect, I'm telling you right now, is negative 1,000. There's no shot does Bethesda outdo BioWare for narrative space shit with this game. Literally no chance. And you're gonna try to spread this shit over in some capacity. Let's say 1/10 of those planets has literally anything to do on them. That's 100. What do you think you could do on 100 fucking planets in a Bethesda game? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, there's probably
because
not a whole
4
lot.
of those planets have a city. A major city. They're hub worlds. There will be smaller cities, I'm sure, on other planets, or like installations. But 4 of those 100 would have a main city. Why would you do that to yourself? And then he went out on social media afterwards, because people, of course, when they see it, they're seeing the mining with like the laser and everything, and people are like, "Oh shit, this looks an awful lot like No Man's Sky."
Dude, when I watched the video, I had to do a double take because I was like, "Is this actually No Man's Sky?" Because it looked an awful lot like No Man's Sky, like the ships, the mining,
dude, the
terrain,
animals kind of looked
animals, the scanning of things.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck? Okay.
So people are comparing them, right? And then, of course, that gets to Todd, and Todd's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta say something now," because people are asking, because he didn't see it during the showcase. Can you fly from space directly to ground and ground into space? And
No.
Todd came out. I gotta get this. I wish I had the quote, but I'll give you the gist of it. Todd came out and said, "Look, you can't. You know why? Because the players don't care. So it's not worth. So it's not worth the development time to put that in for the technology." To which I said, "Nay, Todd. Most people playing this game would have liked to have the option of taking the ship that they built, which is the coolest thing that we saw in this entire video." You saw that part too, I'm sure, because you saw the gameplay, where you can make your own ship. Making your own ship is only cool if you can do a lot with it, like fly it. And so you can fly it to some degree. We don't even know if you can go from planet to planet, or if you just set, like it shows in the game, like you plot your course, and then you just jump to the planet, and then you like click another button, and then it loads the planet. Like, I don't know exactly how that works, but you're not flying. You know, I don't think it doesn't look like you're doing hyperspace or anything. So you had like that really mid-looking space combat, which again looked no better than No Man's Sky. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're gonna do space combat and you're Bethesda, you need to make it look better than No Man's Sky. We're literally talking about orders of magnitude difference in size and money behind these games. Please God. But then you're gonna say that nobody gives a shit about flying down. Of course they give a shit. Here's the real answer. There's spaghetti monster ass fucking code that has been running their games for 20 fucking years, but they have been just Voltron bolting. But like Walmart Voltron bolting this shit onto the Gamebryo, then they rebranded Creation Engine, then Creation 2.0, whatever the fuck. This weird, you remember back in the day, Jeff, with like the Sega Genesis or the Master System, and then all the various things that you could bolt onto that bitch, and if you put them all on top of each other, it was like the Leaning Tower of fucking Pisa. It was like 400. That's the Gamebryo engine. That shit has been, the base of that bitch is Morrowind era, and it is crying. It's screaming, "Todd! Let me die! Please! Stop resuscitating me! I want to be dead! I shouldn't be here! It's unnatural!" And Todd's saying, "No! You still have more work to do!" And now here we are, and he's like, "Oh, it's just not worth the time." Your shit can't do it, Todd! It's impossible! Be honest! Don't lie! What the hell is wrong with you? Nobody cares about it? How fucking insane of a quote is that? So anyway, people were like immediately telling Todd he's high as a kite, which is not out of the norm. But yeah, what was your general takeaway since you did see it? I wasn't expecting you to have seen it. What was your general takeaway with Starfield?
I mean, I'm not as cynical as you are about it. I just think it looks more like a Bethesda Fallout type game.
I don't think it looks bad. I think it just looks mid.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah. It does look
like
mid.
super mid.
I didn't see it and go, oh, wow, I can't wait to get lost in this galaxy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I just didn't. I was just like, okay, all right, yeah, all right, cool, sure. That's pretty much it.
Which I think is probably bad in the grand scheme of things for them, because I think they kind of need this to be like.
Yeah, they do. They need a home run here, but like
Yeah.
the crazy thing is like I think it'll be a home run.
It'll
Like,
still sell. Yeah.
It's gonna sell because like Bethesda fanboys and fangirls are just gonna buy the shit, and then they're gonna force it down your throat on every platform and every device. And
It ain't gonna be on the Switch, I can tell you that much, because it ran like doo-doo on whatever platform they were running it on.
The thing that's gonna save this game are the modders. The modders are gonna come. They're gonna come and they're gonna take this mid game, and in 2 to 3 years, they're gonna turn it into something that it's almost like Bethesda makes these games mid, and then they try and enable the modders the tools they need to make their game great, and they just put it out there. And for people like me that like aren't hardcore about these games, like I'm far more likely to play a version of this game in 2 to 3 years than I am to buy this on day one and deal with all the bugs and bullshit that is inevitable when it comes to this game. So, I'm not as salty about it, or I guess I wouldn't say salty, but as critical about it as you are right now. But like, I don't care as much probably as you do either. So like,
well, I don't like. I'm more interested in Elder Scrolls 6. Like, I'd be more upset if this was Elder Scrolls 6, because that's the game from them that I care about.
But it's going to be the same thing. All right.
Well,
it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same.
Yeah, but
thing.
I don't have to worry about that yet. That's future me has to worry about that. The present me doesn't have to worry about the fact that that's going to be also probably mid. For now, I just have to think about the fact that Microsoft spent $12 billion or whatever on this company, and Starfield was a major driving force for that purchase. And if for the second time in Bethesda's history they delayed a game, the only other time was Oblivion, and now they show this off. It's running at 20 frames per second. One of the fucking characters on the ground during the cutscene's head was on backwards, and shit's just fucking like blowing up all over the place, and it looks incredibly mid. Is probably not what they were hoping for. And it's not like Microsoft wouldn't have understood that was likely going to happen, because this game was already in development since 2015 or so. And so this is, started long before they bought them out. But yeah. I don't think Mid-Thesda is going to be able to keep being Mid-Thesda afterwards. I think, Microsoft's going to want some really big dick energy coming out of these guys. I truly believe there's a shot that Todd Howard retires before Elder Scrolls 6 pops off. I think there's a non-zero chance that Starfield is Todd Howard and Pete Hines' last crack of the bat before this all goes away, because I think Microsoft you have to look at 76 and then look at this and go, okay, something's wrong here. What are the odds that it's the individual developers inside the company and not the management? Pretty much zero. So we'll see.
I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed. It was mid. It was
Again, I don't
mid.
think it looks bad. I just think it looks,
dude, if the game came out today,
really average.
I wouldn't buy it. I just wouldn't care at all.
Neither would I.
Like,
that was the sad thing. Like, I was like, man, I should be like, Bethesda doing a space game? This should be like really fucking interesting to me. But here we are. Like, you tell me 1,000 planets, okay, fuck that right out the window. Give me a single system, solar system, 10 planets. Knock those 10 planets out the fucking park. Give me handcrafted shit to some degree on all 10. Fuck your 1,000. I don't want to fly to... If I wanted to fly to random planets and shit, I'm playing No Man's Sky. Because all that shit's procedurally generated and you find cool shit. I could... like, whatever you think that you're going to have over there at Bethesda for 1,000 planets is a no. It's a hard no.
Yeah.
So just give me 10 really good planets if you're so focused on narrative. And then don't try and be Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, EVE Online. Just focus up, Buttercup. I knew we were in trouble. We saw that bomber jacket, Mr. Black. I knew. I fell out of my chair when I was live streaming it. I said, oh shit, he's got the fucking jacket on. That's a bad omen. That's a bad omen. But there you go. Yeah, Starfield. Looking super mid. Hopefully they fix it up. At least hit 30 FPS, for the love of God. It's not asking a lot. Just 30 FPS, please. After that, we got Capcom, which was about, I think, 3 days ago now. Dragon's Dogma celebrated its 10th anniversary not long ago, and they have some sort of live stream planned for, I think, today. 3 p.m. Pacific time, I think, today. Lots of people are hoping that there's a remake or a sequel to Dragon's Dogma coming. I don't know if the original sold enough copies to warrant that, but maybe maybe it did. They did do, like, anime spin-offs and shit that did well for the franchise, so it's a good chance that could happen. And so we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that little event. Then we just got absolutely, this is great news for you, Mr. Black, just plastered with Resident Evil shit. We got fucking slapped in the mouth with every piece of Resident Evil news a person could possibly ask for. Starting with Resident Evil Village, the most recent game. That's 8 in the grand scheme of things. Got a big block of updates, including the announcement of Shadows of Rose. Rose is the daughter, by the way, of the main character in the game, the base game. It's a sequel DLC, relatively large one at that, where you are going to be apparently playing as her, and it's quite a different experience altogether. Looks like it could be very good. Also, an expanded Mercenaries mode that looks to bring some sort of arcade horde-like mode to it. And lastly, they're adding a third-person mode so that you can enjoy Resident Evil Village much like you would have in Resident Evil 4. So a lot of people were kind of excited about that. Lots of talk on the Twitterverse that I saw about being excited to play it in third person over the shoulder, like you did in 4. I think it would look pretty good. It was great in first person. Resident Evil 4 did well in the over the shoulder, and so it's, a Village will probably also be pretty dope to have in that mode. Also, Resident Evil 4 is getting a flat-out remake a la Resident Evil 2. And of course, once again, lots of people excited about that. Do I think RE4 needs one? No! But great news is there's lots of places that you can still play RE4 in its normal version if you so wish. That wasn't necessarily the case with Resident Evil 2, and so if you don't end up liking the changes that they're invariably going to make to 4 in this remake, then it's not the end of the world. You can still totally play the original in a million different places. But I would suspect that even though they've confirmed, for example, the over-the-shoulder cam is still totally a thing and whatnot, and they're making some changes, we saw what they did with 2, RE2. Did you played RE2 Remake, didn't you? I thought you did anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, so you know the kind of changes they made for that. I think on the whole, positive changes. I like the result of the end of that. So I'm sure they'll do a pretty good job with 4 as well. Although 3 wasn't quite as much of a hit as the 2 remake was. So that is a thing that's happening, and apparently it's going to be out March 24th of 2023, barring any kind of delay, of course. And then lastly, we've got, well, not necessarily lastly, but for the Resident Evil stuff, we had Resident Evil 7, 2, and 3, those are the 2 and 3, the modern versions of those games, are all getting next-gen updates for the PS5 and the Xbox Series. They even released a Resident Evil Director's Cut with upscaled visuals, video filters, rewind, etc. to the PlayStation Store in like their classic games section or whatever that they have for the PlayStation Plus Premium subscribers. So if you're on that program and you want to go and check that out, it probably looks pretty good. I'll have to wait and see. I haven't seen anyone that I know of that's played it yet. But that's my favorite Resident Evil. I'm not going to pay for the Premium Plus to play it, but I'm interested in what it looks and sounds like, and I'm sure it's quite an improvement for sure. And then lastly for Capcom, not that the Monster Hunter fans would need me to tell them, but the Sunbreak expansion to Rise is coming out June 30th. That's like 30% of my timeline in the last couple of days has been Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak news. People talking about it. and lots of excitement surrounding that. I think that also that's PC and Switch, so lots to get excited about there. Capcom is actually killing it lately. I like sometimes you have to sit back and take it in, but sometimes you forget that Capcom's on a bit of a hot streak for like 5 or 6 years now. Like they're doing it. They had a rough spot there for a few years. They weren't knocking it out of the park, and then like Resident Evil 7 happened, and it's like a new company fucking formed and took over, and now they've been basically batting nothing but winners ever since. And so there you go. A reason to hop back into 7, 2, and 3 if you've got a modern console. Resident Evil Director's Cut, and then all the Village content that's coming as well with that DLC. And that's pretty much the sum total. That was all the video game news, the highlights of the stuff anyway, other than, of course, the one to rule them all, which was Stormgate. From Frost Giant. They had a nice little vignette that they showed off at the show. I'm sure you also would have seen the vignette that they did for that. They're interviewing the folks working on the game, and then they showed off that little in-engine cinematic-y type deal, and went over some of their hopes and dreams for where they're going to take the direction of the game. For chiefly that it's going to be free to play, for example. But I will hand this over to you after having seen that, and I know there's some stuff that you've seen that you can't talk about probably yet, but for the stuff that you have seen and you can talk about, how are you feeling about Frost Giant's foray into the market?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty mid, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
So far.
I'm feeling the title of this podcast coming on to me right now, Mr. Black. I'm seeing a theme here.
I'm feeling pretty mid as of right now, but I'm feeling really good about the team. I mean, they're saying all the right things. It's just a matter of, can they follow through, and can they make what they say they're going to make, or what they're trying to make? I thought the cinematic was pretty lackluster.
That was an engine, just to keep in mind. That wasn't a CGI per se, yeah. But yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, whatever. I really just wanted gameplay. I wanted to see sort of what the game was all about. We got an idea. There's obviously going to be at least 3 races, maybe 4. So yeah, I think we got like the demons or whatever they're called, and then the humans. The story seems pretty generic. I do like the aesthetics of it, of the game. I think it looks very like
Blizzard.
It looks very Blizzardy. Yeah.
The first thing came out of my mouth was, "That's Diva, that's Ghost, or the fucking like this, like Ghost Kerrigan or whatever the fuck," and then that's Diablo. Like I literally looked like I looked at 3 different Blizzard products in one. Yeah. In one trailer.
And I think we're going to get a lot of that in the game. There's going to be units that are going to basically be carbon copies right out of StarCraft. There's not really too much to really comment about right now, because
how do you feel about the free to play?
I think it's necessary. I think if it was a pay to play, now I don't know if it's going to be free for the campaign. I think it might end up. I could be wrong, but maybe you have to pay for the campaign and it's free to play for the multiplayer. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but free to play is necessary if you want a large player base. I mean, when StarCraft went free to play, there was a lot more people that started playing the game, which was good and healthy for the game.
I think it's also just necessary for the genre at this point. Like RTS is not hunted after, so I think if you have a shot in hell at all, I think you just have to do it, right?
Yeah, I agree. I hope they're not trying to do too much at once, because they've talked about obviously a one-on-one competitive ranked 2v2, 3v3 like custom stuff, and I just hope that they're not spreading themselves too thin, trying to appease too many people. I know it's a rough juggling act, and they already have everything going against them. But it is the team. I just keep coming back to the team, and they've got everybody that you would ever want making an RTS working on this game. So they have a very competent team. They've got a decent amount of money to make the game. We're getting a playable beta next year. They're listening to the community. Hopefully they don't listen to the community too much, because let's not forget that these guys are the godfathers of RTS. And, yeah, of course, you want to listen to the community and take feedback, but don't let them control every aspect of your decision-making. I'm very, very confident that we could probably get some of the team on the podcast in the near future. And we can ask them hard questions and pick their brain about the game, which probably will be a good thing to do once we hear a little bit more, and we see a little bit more. I'm excited as I'm an RTS guy, so I'm excited. I'm excited for the chance to sink my teeth into an RTS and grind it up. I'm excited on a content stand front as well, in a genre that I know and that I love. So as a creator, it's exciting. As a player, it's exciting. But I also know that this is the last chance for RTS on a massive scale like StarCraft. There's always going to be some sort of variation of RTS out there that it's going to appease to small niches, but this is the team that's going to give us the fighting chance to have RTS become a household thing again. So I'll be sad if it doesn't work out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't either. I'm hoping for the best. I'm rooting it on. I'm going to do my best to promote it, to play it, to show it, to get enthusiastic about it. But as of right now, there's just not much to, if they came and they showed some gameplay, and they showed the UI, and they showed some of the units and how things are moving and the maps and, just something. But instead we just got like a still image and a CGI or in-game ran CGI trailer that was pretty fucking mid. Sound design was kind of lackluster. Characters seemed kind of meh. I want it more, man. I want it more. But
yeah,
I know we're gonna get more. So
I feel like they're in a tough spot between needing to show some of this off to maybe, I don't know if they're hoping to get more rounds of funding. So
I listened to an interview earlier today, and they talked about that. As of right now, I think they had almost 35 million in funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that they think that is going to be suffice. They're not actively looking for more money, but they may do another round later on in development. But right now, they have enough on their plate that they're good to go. They didn't want to show off any gameplay yet. They just wanted to announce themselves, get themselves on Steam, get a little bit of buzz and some hype going. And then obviously they're going to show more in the nearish future. I would imagine probably in the next, I would say 3 to 6 months, we're probably going to get some kind of demo, not demo, but like a real look at the game.
Yeah, I share the same general opinions of it that you did. It was okay. It was, for me, it was a little below mid, to be honest. I think if I wasn't a fan of their previous work and I was looking at this with fresh eyes, even as an let's say I was a general RTS fan, speaking, but I wasn't like, let's say, a diehard Blizzard RTS fan. I think I look at what they showed and I go, all right, this is probably not the time to show any of this.
Yeah.
The sound design was really bad, really, really bad. The voicing was bad. The choosing to not go CGI obviously is way less expensive and allows them to use their engine and whatnot. But I got nothing out of it, really. All it did was show me that I felt like I was literally looking at every major Blizzard property of the last 20 years crammed into a single trailer in various forms. quite literally Diva, quite literally Nova, quite literally Diablo, all on screen at the same time. And then to not have any gameplay at all is I understand why.
Yeah.
I get it, but I feel like that's why I asked the question out loud. I wonder if. So I do find it interesting they're saying they're not seeking more money actively, because if that's the case, I wouldn't have even shown up. I show this much stuff and have a vignette and talk about it to get the people on camera that are like the legends, because I need more money. The general public is maybe not going to take this as good, but it will be useful for us to pitch this to get more money. Because I didn't think it looked particularly promising. I do think, like I said before, and we both agree that free to play is a necessity for RTS now. I don't think you get a choice. That's not like they sat down and go, oh, it'd be cool if we did it free to play. No, that choice was made for them at this point. So it's good that they're at least accepting reality and moving in that direction. I agree with you, though, as well, as that there's a good chance that like campaign stuff is likely to be paid for, but the multiplayer would be free to play. Yep. That's the way to do it. That is smart. I think that makes sense, and people will be okay with that. I don't think people necessarily expect the campaign to be free, but the multiplayer to be. I did chuckle that they managed to, in their vignette, dedicate an entire like frame or 3 to having no NFTs. On the video. I kind of chuckled about that. It was like, man, this is where we're at now. We had to promise that there's no NFTs. So yeah, and then obviously they're gonna make money from aesthetic stuff and whatever, selling skins and other, which they started doing in StarCraft in later years and whatnot. But again, like you, need to see more. I need actual gameplay to really give a better idea. But also, like you, it's the people behind it that give me hope, and not what I just saw. I'm definitely interested in seeing more. But what I saw there, I probably could have gone without seeing. I probably could have just. I would have been just as happy if I didn't see anything for another 6 months. Yeah. And then the first thing they show me includes gameplay. Now, like I think I would have been just as happy with that, but they're in a crazy situation. They've split off from the big boys. They're a bunch of veterans doing their thing. They're doing arguably the hardest genre that you could choose to do in terms of like making money off of it. Short of a point and click fucking adventure game, RTS is probably the hardest one that you could choose, especially given the current climate in the industry. And doing it as a small studio all at the same time is very difficult. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. But for now, I was just kind of like, okay,
yeah, that's how I felt. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still optimistic. I'm still excited. I'm rooting, and it was pretty meh. Pretty meh.
That's all we got for video game news, Mr. Black, which means it's time to move on to do some selling out.
Patreon.com/LagTV. Head on over there and support the podcast via your wallet. If you can't afford to, or just don't want to, it's totally fine. Just share the podcast, like it, support the sponsor. Just find a way to support it in your own way. Show up and listen. And speaking of sponsors, if you need a VPN, you can go to nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get yourself a massive discount plus a bonus month when you get a 2-year subscription or more. Stay safe, stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. You only need one account per household because you can have 6 simultaneous devices. You can use it on your smartphone, your TV, your PC, your Mac. Really, it can hook up to virtually anything. Super easy to use. It is one click of a button. My dad uses it. I've used it when I was all in Spain. Have it on my laptop, have it on my phone. It is quite literally one button, and you mask your IP. Watch different regions of content and block content. Stay safe, of course, so that people can't get your IP address. You can mask your IP. What else can you do with it? If
Oh
you're
no!
on the desktop,
Did you watch some Spanish Netflix when you were over there?
I did, and I did. But then when I wanted to watch an American one, I got to use my VPN and
just
tap
like
into
that.
just like that,
Incredible.
like that. So yeah, guys, it's a VPN can be used in so many different ways, and it's 2022, and at the price less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, it's a no-brainer. You're supporting the podcast. You're giving yourself anonymity and support when it comes to your web browsing and whatnot. And yeah, you're also supporting the sponsor that supports this. So go check them out. Link is in the description below, and pick yourself up NordVPN with the promo code OTT. That's it.
Absolutely. And now it's time for
Movies and TV.
Justin Lin is set to direct a One Punch Man live action movie, Mr. Black, which, amidst all of the anime to live action conversions that we've heard of so far, at least sounds plausible when compared to something like live action One Piece. I still don't. I watched it. I watched a trailer thing from them, like behind the scenes, as to how they're doing One Piece. The amount of money they're spending on that is fucking insane. And I'm still sitting here going, okay, that's all great. These sets are all bonkers. But how in the fuck do you do One Piece live action? At least One Punch Man, okay. That's just like doing Thor at that point.
Yeah.
In like, okay, yeah, sure. One Piece, if you've seen even an episode of One Piece, that shit, you turn your head and you go, how the fuck do you live action that shit? So we'll see how it comes out of it. But nonetheless, Justin Lin helming that. And then the last thing I have here, and then we'll just have to divert to whatever else we might have randomly come up with in the last couple weeks. Netflix is taking it maybe a little too literally when it comes to Squid Game, and turning it into an actual game show, in which they have 456 contestants battling it out for $4.56 million. Clearly,
great idea.
Clearly, they're not going to be killing each other.
No.
However, I'll bet you know what? Maybe they do. You never know. I mean, shit, you could sign a waiver. Like, yeah, fuck, my life's only worth $100,000 right now with inflation. Sure, I'll sign up. But there you go. So I don't know any more details than that, except that it's 4.56 schmil, and 456 contestants to some degree. It will probably be all of the games, none of the death. Is likely what it's going to look like if I had to take a wild shot in the dark on that one. I think there was also some other Squid Game. Well, Squid Game Season 2 is a thing as well. So out of a story that was only supposed to have one season, we now have 2 seasons at the very least, plus an actual game show, and there you have it. Yeah. We'll see how that does. And that's all. That's literally all I've got. I did. Oh, you know what though? I watched 2 things in this since you've been gone.
Did you watch the Nick Cage movie?
I finally got to see the Nick Cage movie.
I'm probably gonna watch it tomorrow. I was gonna watch it tonight, but I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I'm probably just gonna relax. But tomorrow night,
so I won't spoil it.
Is it
However, shit's fucking good.
All right,
it's good. It's a good movie. It's just good. It is exactly what you're imagining that movie to be. Maybe a little twisty in terms of like how it presents itself, but almost exactly how you would envision it to be. And all I can say is God bless Pedro Pascal. God bless that man. And then also managed to finally catch the movie that so many people have been telling me that I need to eventually see. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I'm going to be watching that one too. So
okay, all right.
I hear that's great as well.
The answer is yes. Don't watch it high. You might die. However, great movie. In general, for sure. And definitely worth watching it, no questions. Other than that, nothing really notable that we watched. We watched another one of the 1,000 Liam Neeson films that are all the same.
What are you doing to M, man? Stop.
She chose it.
Jesus.
I didn't choose it. She chose it.
I can't watch Neeson movies. God damn.
What was
dude.
it? Not sharpshooter, but fucking something similar.
Taken 7.
More or less.
It's all the same shit, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all the same. I
Yeah.
just can't. I can't do Liam Neeson movies
Yeah.
anymore, bro. It's so phoned in and bad.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was it on this end.
Yeah.
Anything else that you know of?
I didn't.
Oh, have you
really
heard of
watch-
anything?
I mean, I still got to go see Top Gun 2 in IMAX.
Yes, right. That's the thing.
Yeah, I watched Hustle on Netflix on the plane, which was like Adam Sandler movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I fucks with it. Adam Sandler just needs to stay clear away from comedy because he's not funny at all. But the guy's an actor. He can actually act. And like the last 2 movies I've seen him in, the one where he's like a gambling degenerate, and Hustle, which is a basketball movie about being a scout. Both really good movies. I mean, yeah, he has some small comedic lines in the movie, but like, please don't make any more comedies and keep doing these types of films. Please. These like character pieces of like real life type people in heartfelt movies. Do that. Do more of that, please. Because your comedy sucks. It's dated. It worked in the 90s. And maybe in the early 2000s. Now, nah, bro, ain't it?
I still love me some Happy Gilmore, though. I can still watch Happy Gilmore.
Of course, but those movies are cult classics, you know?
Yes.
Those are cemented.
Yeah.
If I seen Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore 2, I would lose my fucking mind, you know?
There is a non-zero chance that Adam Sandler does a Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah, not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know if I'm even that surprised because people who are generally like comedians are generally quite funny, even if they're dated humor. Like, let's say they're dated humor, and they'd never changed their humor over time.
Like Jim Carrey, right? Like Jim Carrey's days are kind of like as a comedic, like as a comedic, like front runner in a movie.
But if you
or
can
TV
make
show.
people laugh, you can do
you can do
anything.
Comedy's the hardest. Comedy is quite literally the hardest thing to sell.
So switching to drama is like, that's easy mode for a lot of these guys. So so it's not shocking to me that he did. No, I saw that when I was scrolling.
Worth a watch, and you like basketball, right? So like, it's
of course, yeah. So that was probably a watch for me.
Yeah, it's a solid movie. Wasn't too long. Well paced. Good story. Little predictable, but
most
it's okay.
Sports movies are.
Most sports movies are. It's a very safe film to watch. I give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for what it was. And it's a good movie. Good movie to watch with, lady, like the spouse as well.
Yeah, I watched. Speaking of sports movies, I did watch another one, and I can't remember the name of it. But it was about a collegiate rowing team, and the guy who plays Zod. What's his name? Oh my god, I'm the worst with names because I actually really like him as an actor, and I like watching stuff that he's in, but I never remember his name.
Somebody's gonna say it in chat. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he was like one of the the leads in it. He was the coach or whatever, and that was really good too. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was really well done. Again, predictable to a degree. Michael Shannon.
There it is.
That dude can act.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. So enjoyed that a great deal. I wish I remember the name of the movie, but it's Michael Shannon in a collegiate rowing film. There's not that many of them, so you can find it pretty easily if you look that up in Google. I watched that again. Really good. The heartfelt stuff. It's all the sports movie stuff that you would expect. But done really well. So I enjoyed watching that, and anytime I get a chance to watch
Heart of Champions.
That's it, Heart of Champions. Anytime I get a chance to watch Michael Shannon, I'm gonna watch me some Michael Shannon.
Yeah, why not?
Especially if he has to be angry in the film, because he does angry.
Well, he has like an angry face.
Particularly well. He didn't interview once where they talked to him about that, and he said truth be told, angry's easy because I've been angry my whole life.
There you go.
he talked about his early life, which wasn't great. And he was like, like any actor, you're going to be, if they get typecast, odds are it's because their actual life experience lines up with whatever that typecasted role is. So he's like, for me, you want me to be angry, I can do angry.
No problem. Don't even need to act. I just show up.
I just show up and scream. Yeah, that's it. So that means it's time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTV if you want to help financially support this podcast during times of great inflation. If you can afford it, that's assuming you can afford it. Do it. Patreon.com/LikeTV. $10 or more a month, you get a chance to ask some questions for tech support. And when this house is finally done, I'll even be shipping out shit to people again, which means I'm going to have to resend out emails because I'm sure some people have moved since the last time we did ship out. So it's a good shot. Some people might have moved two times, maybe even thrice. So we will make sure to send out. I won't be sending to old addresses that I have in my Excel spreadsheet. I'll message everyone again and get updated stuff and whatnot. But chiefly, right now, you're asking us questions and we're giving you answers for $10 more a month on a post that we call Tech Support. Gets put up on the Patreon each and every week for the podcast. So let's dive in and see what we've got. All right, Mark Furry, following up with a question we had last week, and I think even the week before that, last week being the last podcast. First place, so you said you finally have your private jet, because we chose private jet over boat.
Yes.
First place you take your family, first place you take your friends, and then when do you decide to join the Mile High Club? Where are you flying?
First place I take the family, good question.
Barcelona, Spain.
Yeah. It's not a bad choice, but I probably want to go somewhere I've never been before. I'm gonna go with yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll go to Spain again. I'll fly
just
to Spain
somewhere other than Barcelona.
Yeah. Fuck it. I'll go to Barcelona. And then where was the other? What was the other one?
Okay, so family first. Then where are you taking the friends? The friends. They separated family and friends.
Okay.
And yeah,
friends. I'm going to Australia.
Okay. And then when you finally decide to join the Mile High Club, where are you flying during the Mile High Club?
Anywhere. I mean,
you might just go up for the sake of it. Just go up and fly around a bit.
Yeah.
And land.
Why not? Yeah.
Because you can.
I mean, if you got a private jet, like you're screwing on the first flight.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, how else do you break it in? Like seriously.
100%.
That's literally. I can imagine. I would wager that at least 90% of people that buy their first private jet are fucking on the first flight.
Oh, for sure.
Like, how do you not? How do you not? It's like getting a yacht. You know,
speaking of a yacht, did you see on social media there was it went viral. There was a group of I go like really 20s or some shit, and they clearly rented this boat for the night, but the owner of the boat is the one piloting the boat, and they're just like, you know, having a good time on the back of the yacht. And they start getting, they're wilding out, Mr. Black. They got the champagne. Shaking the champagne. He pops champagne and he's spraying that shit all over the place. But he's spraying it all over this man's boat. And the dude stops the boat. He turns around and he says, "Hold up, motherfucker. You're spraying that champagne over $1,000 cushions. Each one of those things cost $1,000. So you gotta treat this place with some respect. Act like you've been here before." And I was like, oh!
I would have allowed him to drop one N-bomb. I would have gave him one. If he would have said, "Listen, you blanks are wilding out right now. You need to chill the fuck out." I would have been like, "Bro,
you're not wrong.
You got it." I would have said, I would have let it pass.
It's like, you know what? I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
Just the one time, but I'll allow it.
I'm gonna definitely allow it.
But that was crazy. I saw that. I was like, oh man, that, in front of the girls and shit. Those guys got castrated, bro.
Oh yeah, man. And what do you say? Like, you know what I mean? What do you say?
Act like you've been here before. I was like, oh my God, that's the sickest burn I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, dude.
Act like you've had $1 million boat, motherfucker.
Act like it.
And then in the comment section, what was the scene? The comment section, though, was hurting. A bunch of people defended the people popping champagne, like, it's just champagne, it's not gonna hurt anything. And people were like, tell me you've never had champagne in your life without telling me you've never had that shit's liquid sugar.
Yeah.
Everything's fucked. He gonna spend money when he gets that boat in to get it like power washed, and hopefully don't ruin the seats at the same time. That shit just made me remember that. It was kind of funny. I don't know. Where do I first take my family? Mom and Dad always said, even though they're not travelers, they wanted to like go see Rome. So I guess Rome is where we go with family. Friends, man. You know what? New Zealand sounds like a pretty good place to turn up with the friends.
Yeah, why not?
It's a beautiful spot. They know how to do it down in New Zealand. I think that would be kind of fun. And then where do you join them on? Like Jeff, it's the first flight. It doesn't matter where. Like I said, I'll take the bitch up and just do a circle.
That's it.
Shit, I'll tell the pilot to draw a penis on the radar while I'm doing it. I'll make him fly art in the air while I'm doing that shit. It's just because I can, because I got the fucking jet.
Yep.
Let's see. Seth asks, $1 million cash, but your sex tape is released online. Where do I sign?
Oh, for $1 million in cash?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro.
Oh, I'll show everyone how unimpressive my dick is for $1 million. Right now. You know, right now. I'll do it on Twitch in front of 69 people for the humor.
Yeah, just get banned, but who cares? You got $1 million.
$1 million. I'm out. I'm outie.
That's
Bye.
easy. That's not. I don't even have to think about that.
Nah,
bro. For $1 million.
not even concerned. Mark. Oh, this is coming from Marky Mark, our editor. Who is the worst possible person that your child brings home saying, "Dad, meet my spouse"? This is in the future. What's the nightmare scenario?
Amber Heard.
All right. Did you see her interview that she gave here the other day?
Oh, bruh. Hot mess.
My favorite part was when she was like, me, the actor, says the lawyer whose client was the one that convinced everyone he had scissors for fingers.
Yeah,
and
bro.
I was like,
all right, man.
What?
She just needs to hold the L and just walk away. Like, she just needs to move on.
She's not doing herself any favor. If she had any amount of money to still take, like at this point, she's basically just being defamatory all over again, and she could just lose more money. The only reason she can do this is because she actually has no money. Yeah, so that's a good choice. I'm gonna say any one of them on the boat popping champagne, spraying around like they hadn't been there before. Don't bring home that person, whoever that is. K-Tarp wrote us a bit of a novel here, but it's his first one, so we're gonna do it big.
Okay.
Said, hey, Jeff and Adam, been watching since When She's Failed Season 1, bless. When I was pre-med. Oh, shit. I'm guessing you are now med. Congratulations, but also Godspeed out there right now. At the same time. First time writing in, now at the end of a long road through med school, residency, and fellowship. I feel like I've grown up into an adult with you guys. That's a scary thought. I apologize. And wanted to say thanks for the years of entertainment. Stay awesome. In my opinion, the three most important things to get right to set a good foundation for health. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from a fresh off the press doc. So we gotta pay attention to these pillars. 1, proper nutrition and diet. 2, exercise. And 3, sleep. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I'm not gonna argue that.
No.
Question 1. If you could forego one of those without any negative impact to your health, which one would you choose and why? For me, I would choose not to need sleep so I could have 8 extra hours. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, 100% that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
fuck
get
sleep.
rid of sleep as well. Yeah, just to
If I can have good, like just like permanent, decent energy,
Yeah.
all day,
Yeah.
easily. On the
That's
flip
easy.
side, he said I had my first lucid dream recently and was able to volitionally do water bending. Like Avatar, the last airbender type water bending. So maybe choosing to forego sleep was a mistake. Yes, if you want to be able to feel like you're living real life in your dream and waterbend, you're going to need to be asleep for that one. And then question 2, have you ever had a lucid dream? And if you did, what did you do in it? I can think of one for Jeff from when we were kids that he had. Jeff lucid dreamed he was literally a Dragon Ball Z character, and he spent the next 7 days reenacting his dream, running around the street, screaming out Kamehamehas as he did in the dream, and flying. The flying part he couldn't do, and thankfully he didn't try, but the screaming Kamehameha thing, that happened. So that was probably a top tier one for Mr. Black.
Yeah.
Have you had any more recently that wasn't Dragon Ball Z?
No, man, I haven't had one of those dreams in a long time. And when I was a kid, I used to have like night terrors and stuff. I used to sleepwalk quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's been a long time, so I'll probably go with that one. I'd probably go with that one. That one was fun.
I've had lucid dreams, but none of them have been like have been really fancy in that way or like fantastical. Most of them have just been more just like real life, but in dream form. So it was not entertaining at all. It was just kind of boring. So I've lucid dreamed a lot, like with relative frequency. I probably lucid dream once every couple of months, but none of it is ever exciting. If anything, a lot of the times my lucid dreams are kind of depressing because it will just be like my brain will, for whatever reason, for lucid dreaming, will pull like not the fun shit, but like some sad or negative shit and be like, let's relive that in real time. Click play. And then just like live through that whole thing all over again. You're like, all right, thanks, brain. Dick. Couldn't pick something fucking like light, you asshole.
Couldn't be Goku? Like, come on.
Yeah, God, couldn't be like Goku. You could have made it at least Yamcha or some shit. You didn't have to like fucking do me that dirty. Dr. Samurai said, I watched Black Hawk Down for the first time in at least a decade. It still holds. Any movies that still hold for you or that you expect to hold in a decade from now?
In a decade from now?
Yeah, so like either one that you know of right now that's like from a long time ago that still holds, or
Avatar,
what's a movie that just came out now?
I just watched Avatar before I went away to Spain, and that shit holds. That shit like came out this year. It's pretty fucking insane. And that shit came out in like 2009, 10.
True.
I'm not even sure. It was a long time ago.
True.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Avatar. That holds really well.
I'm going to give you two that I think will hold for even longer, and they've been around for a lot longer than that. Terminator 2, The Matrix.
That's a good one.
Both of those, even though they both used tech that was like cutting edge at the time, did it tastefully enough that they don't look super dated. And so those are probably, I would say, the two that will still hold up really well. Even further down the line. As for movies that came out more recently that I think will hold up really well in another 10, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that Top Gun is probably going to be really good for a while. They did a lot of practical from what I understand in that, and so practical always tends to hold up better than relying on CGI a lot of the time. Avatar is a staunch fucking exception to that rule because they... You know, James Cameron blasted himself into the future for that one in order to create it. So yeah, I would say that. And then there are other movies that, oh man, I don't know. I think those are probably the safest bets for now. I'm sure there are others that will hold up really well, but those are probably the easiest ones off the top of my head that I can think of. Dr. Samurai asks, it's dangerous, but thankfully I don't think either of our ladies watch or listen to this podcast. Any funny complaints about you from your partner, or about you from your partner or an ex? So about you specifically, I read this in the reverse. I thought it was complaints that we have about them, but it's actually, do we have any funny complaints that we've gotten from our exes or from our current significance?
Well, ex-wise, no. I haven't I haven't seen or talked to my ex in a
Long time.
fucking time. So no to that. As for Kayla, what she complains to me about, nothing really. She complains that I don't take care of myself a lot. So, she's like, you should work out. You should leave the house, go for a walk. Fucking, you need to eat. You have water. Pretty constant. But I wouldn't really call that like a funny,
No.
a funny thing. The crack nail. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. Maybe my.
I forgot about that.
But she doesn't really ever complain too much about that. That's the thing. So I'm just like, there's not really. I can't think of anything. Like, yeah, it's we don't. There isn't like any pet peeves or funny, quirky things that I do around the house, or even that she does around the house. That I guess the one thing that she does is she never puts bungee cords on the trash bins. And so the raccoons, they keep coming up and tipping over and eating shit from out the green bin. And there's bungee cords right there. And she's just like, yeah, I know. I just never do it. And every time she starts bitching at it, like, or I should say bitching, but she gets salty that she's got to go out and clean it up. Now she does. And she's like, whatever. But it's like one thing that she just, I don't know, she just won't do.
I don't know if there's anything. Like, cause yeah, she'll complain that I don't take care of myself as well. Unfortunately for M, she came into my life during a time where I was already not taking care of myself. And so she's not actually ever seen me take care of myself. So like, it's almost like baseline for her. But yeah, I would say that, but it's not like but a quirky thing. A quirky complaint. I'd say I would say the complaint, and it's a silly one. It's like it's almost like also a complaint that I have for her is that she'll complain if I don't finish her food. So if like she's done, she's full, and she doesn't like to leave food left over. She'll be like here's finish that now. I'm like,
I'm not hungry.
Well, I'm not all that hungry. Like no, go. We don't want to leave food on the plate. It's like, all right, well then you eat it. What am I eating it for? What the fuck am I eating it for? You go ahead now. And so, on top of eating more sweets since I've been living at home for the last 2.5 years, and Mom like doesn't stop, like she feels the need to constantly have sweets in the house, cookies and shit she's making. I've gained a lot of weight because I'm eating for two now. There's a lot of leftover food. I don't even have a kid, but I've already gotten the dad bod from like the classic, you have a kid and you're eating the kid's leftovers, you're eating the wife's leftovers, you're eating your food, and all of a sudden you're gaining like a bunch of weight. Yeah, that's the thing. And that would also be like my quirky thing for her is that like she'll eat like half of her food. She'll frequently avoid eating the healthiest part of whatever is on the plate, and then whatever's left over, just like, here, you eat it. Like, what am I, a fucking trash bin? You just throw everything into my mouth when you're done. So I would say that's probably it. But like, other than that, like complaints from exes and stuff. The only complaints I ever had from my previous 2 relationships was that I worked too much. I've worked the least amount in the last 4 years of my life, but everything previous to that was just like 14-hour days, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And that work definitely was like one of the chief reasons why my first relationship categorically ended up being a bad, or at least went for as long as it did, because I was so busy working that I didn't even take note of whatever else was going on in the fucking relationship at the time. So yeah, that's a pro tip. If you're somebody that's a workaholic, remind yourself to still remember that there are other people around you is a good idea. Take note of that. But yeah, no, other than that, not so much. Danish Devil, what's a bathroom habit that repulses you? Bonus points if your partner does it. I'm so tired of picking up my wife's hair out of the shower drain. Okay.
A bathroom habit that annoys me?
Or like repulses you, like, like grosses you out.
Me out? I don't really have one.
For me, it's when dudes, if you're at home or somebody else's house, standing up to piss, is fucked up for me. Like, if you're in your own home and you choose to do it, it's fine. But going to somebody else's home and standing up to piss is fucked up.
Why?
That shit's splashing all over the place. I don't want to be wiping somebody else's piss off my wall. My own piss, I'm gonna wipe my own piss. I'm gonna lick the wall if it's my own piss. But if somebody else comes into my home and goes into my bathroom and flips the shit up and just starts standing up and pissing, and now I got piss all over the fucking place. Because even if it doesn't look like it's that shit's spraying. There is no such thing as standing up and pissing without it spraying all over the place.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. When I visit your new house and you have a housewarming, I'm standing up and I'm pissing hard, man.
I know you did it your whole life. You came over here, stood up, piss all the time. There's probably still piss on your wall in the bathroom next door to me right now. It's probably still there.
It is what it is. I ain't sitting down to pee, man. You know, like.
What do you think, you're gonna grow a vagina if you sit down to piss when you're at somebody else's house, so they don't have to clean your urine off the wall?
No, but it just doesn't cross my mind. It's not like I'm not 6'6". You know, there's not like a big drop, where it's just like.
Well, I mean, it still fucking happons. Like,
yeah, of course. But I mean, I lift the toilet seats up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pissing in the bowl. I'm not like pissing on the fucking, on the toilet seat and leaving it.
That's probably it. Other than that, like, that's like the only like repulsive thing. The only other thing beyond that that's like an annoying habit is when somebody's like washing their hands and they do this thing over top of the sink, and again, it's not like it's dirty water necessarily, but now it's like a wet dog went into the bathroom and just fucking like did this shit, and now there's water like fucking everywhere. Like, just wash your hands, rinse them, and then use the fucking towel that is specifically there to dry your hands. You don't need to do this first. This ain't helping anything. This is just painting the walls with water. That ain't doing shit. You're just getting water stains on the mirror that you gotta clean up later and shit. Just wash your hands and fucking use a towel. Those are really kind of the only two things. But if I'm at somebody else's house, I'm sitting down to take a piss every time, because I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, somebody else is cleaning my piss off their walls. It's fucked up. I ain't about that life. Coyote asks, what's your alcoholic beverage of choice for sipping in the sun? So when it's hot outside, you're chilling, what's your go-to?
My go-to beverage, mojito.
There were pictures of you over there with the mojito gang.
That's all I was drinking all week. Mojitos.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm a rye and ginger type guy. Some ice, some rye, some ginger, but most places will use like Canada Dry or some other, maybe if you're lucky, Sussex Gold for ginger ale around here. But a really good one is if you use ginger beer instead of ginger ale, which is way more ginger, like fucking 1,000 times more ginger in terms of potency, in terms of like how much you're tasting, and that makes it even tastier. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. But also in general, non-alcoholic option, if it's not just water, is just Coke. Like you get a certain kind. I get a certain kind of thirsty where my body, even though it knows it wants water or needs water, the want is just Coke. Even if I hadn't had Coke in like months, and my body will just be like, this is a specific thirst that can only be quenched with Coca-Cola. Wow. All right. J. Kim asks, Adam and Jeff are going out on a double date with Amber Heard and Jada Pinkett Smith. Who's taking who and you can't say no?
I mean, I'm taking Amber Heard.
Okay.
I just like, you know, at least I'm physically attracted to Amber Heard, so like, you know, I got that going for me.
I guess I get to take one for the team and go with
I can't.
the bitch that's also not attractive.
Yeah, like I couldn't perform with Jada. I could perform with Amber Heard. Jada Pinkett Smith? No, that ain't it, man. I'm sorry. I'm not saying she's not a good-looking woman. It's just not.
I am
nowhere near my type at all.
I don't think she's attractive, but I think a lot of it's because her personality just completely fucking ruins everything.
Yeah.
Amber is like the type of attractive that you can almost look past it. It's the crazy hot scale.
You definitely could look past it for sure. Amber Heard
is the crazy hot scale.
Yeah.
She's up there. Jada's not high enough on the scale to look past the bitch mode.
No.
It's not it. That not to say that Jada would probably find me attractive either. A Dent asks, what reality show cast would you want to see do the Hunger Games? Love Island would be pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, we're watching Love Island now.
Imagine them doing Hunger Games. Holy shit. Bro, Big Brother.
I'm gonna go with oh, that's not bad either. But I'm gonna go with Survivor. Because
okay, but it has to be the first. But it has to be the first 5 seasons of Survivor because that shit's been going on for too long. It's still happening now. First 5 seasons, the people that they brought on, they were fucking killers.
They were. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, let's go with Survivor just because I'd rather see that environment in Survivor than like I'd want to see it out in the wilderness, you know, because it's very like Hunger Gamesy. I wouldn't want to be like in a house playing Hunger Games. I think Survivor, you're on an island, whatever. I see. I don't watch too much of Survivor, so like I don't know.
Oh, this is back in the day. You know who wins this?
Who?
I think his name was Richard.
Richard. Oh, was that the?
That was the nudist dude that was just walking around fucking
like
naked.
Season 1. Was he season 1?
One or two.
Yeah,
one or two. Dude, we were super into Survivor. We were like singing the theme song and shit.
The early days of Survivor were great.
It's fire.
Yeah.
Call Deer asks, you have 3 pets and or friends from a few fiction universes. Who are they or what are they? And how would your life be? Jesus, that's a loaded question. So for his example, he says, I would be friends with a Protoss, some random Protoss from StarCraft, and talk to each other about culture, physics, and philosophy. Jesus, okay. Pets or friends from a few fictional universes. Who or what would they be?
Dude, I'm going into the Matrix, man. I'm going into the Matrix and I'm having conversations about, you know, the red and blue pill and is this reality and is this not reality and
okay.
And you know, the Matrix world is fun too. So I'm gonna go with the Matrix.
Man. I can't even fucking imagine where I would go with that. Who doesn't want to be friends with Gandalf? So I'm gonna say Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, and then if I had to pick 3, it'd be Gandalf. It would be Strider. I think having a drink with Strider would be fucking real. And then oh my goodness, what's his name? The Hugo Weaving's character. I'm just not thinking of his elven name right now.
Yeah, it's fucking not Legolas, but the other dude, right? The wizard type
Legolas's
dude.
father. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Gandalf the Grey or White? Be specific. The Grey. I think the White. I think the White just got too much going on. Elrond. I knew it was an E. I just couldn't think of the fucking name. Those would be the 3.
Good picks.
Last question comes in from Neil Pring. He said, you are Master Chief. You are about to make sweet, sweet love, which apparently during that show we've, even though not, canonically he's never been able to, but here we are. Do you leave your helmet on like a true Spartan for the act? Yes. A true Spartan never takes his helmet off. You never know when you're gonna get shot at. So you just open that hatch for only the parts that you need. You leave that helmet on, soldier.
I'm taking the helmet off.
Oh,
and I'm putting it on the girl.
Because you want to fuck yourself. You're just looking at the reflection of yourself. That's like, what's that movie? Is it American Psycho or whatever? Where he's like, where Christian Bale's like banging her, looking at himself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is that American Psycho?
I think it's American Psycho. That movie's fucking crazy. Man. Fucking nuts. I've definitely had some sex where like there's like big mirrors like on a closet and whatnot. Like
yeah. You're seeing yourself in the
just
act.
Seeing yourself. Yeah, I've been to like hotels with that stuff, and it's not that bad.
Mirror on the ceiling. You ever been that experience yet?
I don't think I've ever been in the mirror on the ceiling, but definitely the walls for sure. I've definitely seen it. I've also seen it like a mirror on the headboard.
Yeah.
But
dude, mirror on a headboard would freak me out because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that bitch gonna fall off the headboard one night and just dome me. Same for the one on the ceiling. Anyone crazy enough to put a fucking mirror on the ceiling?
Yeah, that's a big no for me, dog. Yeah.
What's that movie series like that's like about like everyone coming close to death or whatever? Final Destination.
Final Destination. Yeah.
That's some Final Destination shit.
Yeah.
Putting a mirror on the ceiling. You're just asking for some
trouble. The walls
trouble.
are fine. The closets, the doors.
Yeah, that's good.
Put them on that. That's fine. And like, I mean, I was even in houses that have like mirror doors. Like the whole fucking door is just like a big ass mirror.
Holy shit!
It's not even. Yeah, it's like a door.
I'd be closing that gingerly.
Well, it's very similar. It's a very similar feel as like say a walk-in shower door is.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's still glass.
Yeah.
But it's it can get banged around a little bit, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's still when it breaks, it's gonna be a bad time.
That's yikes.
Yeah.
That's a yikes. That's it. That's the last question. That's all we got, Mr. Black, which means we've come to the end of our show for yet another week, but we are back. We'll be back next week. I don't know what news is going to look like, given we just came out of the Game Fest season, but hopefully we get some more fun stuff to talk about. That will be episode 250.
Damn.
Next week. 250!
That's fucking nuts.
Shit's crazy. The only thing crazier than that is the knowledge that Jeff Gerstmann this last week left Giant Bomb.
Oh,
suddenly.
Shit.
Out of nowhere. Just announced it. Like, literally, there was no fanfare. Not even a thing posted on the site.
He just said,
I'm out.
I'm done.
Deuces. And 24 hours later, that motherfucker went live and pressed live on a website, on a Patreon, and his podcast page. He's already #1 trending on on the podcast pages. And he had, I think, over 7,000 Patreon members in, like, 48 hours.
He's probably going, why didn't I leave this sooner?
In the back of his mind, he's thinking, man, I really fucked up.
I could have made millions of dollars already.
As it turns out, the majority of people were there for Jeff Gerstmann. And as soon as he left, I mean, they've got now, in fairness to Giant Bomb, they got a really great team. There's definitely some shit that went on in there because the guy who left came back the same day that Jeff left to be creative director. Literally the same fucking afternoon.
So some shit was going on.
Some shit was going on in the back seats, but it doesn't matter because now by himself, he's making buckets of money. And good for him. That man's been doing this shit since the 90s, so Godspeed. But yeah, that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we got for you this week. We'll see you guys next week, of course. Spread the news if you think people might enjoy our two idiotic heads talking in a square on YouTube or other formats. And get them on board with the Technical Alpha team. We'll see you guys next week. And until then, thank you once again. Stay safe out there. Godspeed with inflation. And peace.
Peace.